To walk through fire and come out whole, that is the essence of resilience. To walk with the weight of the world, knowing that every step forward is an act of defiance. Wisdom seekers, welcome. Today we dive into the art of moving forward, even when the path before us is shrouded in darkness and steeped in challenge. For centuries, humanity has grappled with hardships, broken dreams, lost hopes, days so heavy that rising from bed feels like an impossible task. And yet, some men and women have found ways to rise above, to keep moving. These people weren't necessarily born stronger or braver. They cultivated resilience through habits. Today we explore those habits, 10 of them, that can guide us, support us, and keep us moving forward, even on the hardest days. These habits are rooted in Stoicism, a philosophy crafted not in lofty ivory towers, but in the gritty, relentless pressures of real life. Stoicism doesn't promise easy answers. Instead, it equips us with tools to weather any storm. Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, these thinkers didn't just ponder hardship, they lived through some of history's darkest chapters. And from their lives, we have inherited a roadmap for resilience. Today's journey is not just a list of ideas. It's a masterclass in surviving and thriving in the face of adversity. So lean in, listen closely. But before we start our journey, make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't yet. Every like, subscribe helps us continue our mission of sharing knowledge. Ready to unlock more wisdom? Let's begin with the first habit, a practice as old as time itself. Habit 1. Mastering the power of perspective. In times of adversity, our minds often become consumed by a singular, narrow view of the world. When life's burdens press heavily upon us, perspective becomes our battlefield, and the outcome is determined by how we perceive our struggles. The ancient Stoics knew this well. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, reminded himself daily, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." It's a simple yet profound statement, one that reveals a powerful truth. Hardships are only as heavy as we perceive them to be. Perspective is the lens through which we experience reality. Imagine that lens like a camera. When we zoom in too close, the details appear sharp, vivid, and overwhelming. We might see every crack, every jagged edge, every flaw. The obstacle before us fills the frame, dwarfing anything else in the picture. Yet, with a simple shift, a zoom out, the entire scene changes. We begin to notice that the obstacle, once overwhelming, is just one part of a much larger, more complex landscape. Consider the metaphor of standing at the foot of a mountain. When viewed from the base, its towering height can appear insurmountable, and we might feel as though reaching the top is impossible. But imagine climbing halfway up. Now the summit still looms above, but so does the sight of how far we've come, the perspective gained from elevation. In that moment, the mountain no longer holds the same daunting power over us. Instead of seeing only the difficulty of the path ahead, we can also appreciate the resilience we've shown to get here. This is the power of perspective. It allows us to reframe even the toughest challenges as parts of a larger journey. The Stoics believed that hardship was inevitable, but suffering was often a product of perception. Epictetus, who was born into slavery and endured immense hardship throughout his life, famously said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the view they take of them." He argued that events in themselves are neutral. It is our interpretation of them that imbues them with emotional weight. This belief wasn't just a philosophical exercise for Epictetus, it was a practice. By reframing his own painful experiences, he taught his followers to look beyond the immediate discomfort and recognize the broader, transformative nature of hardship. So how can we practically apply this habit of perspective? It begins with awareness. The next time you face a difficult day, take a step back and observe your thoughts. Notice where your mind goes. Is it consumed by immediate frustrations, or are you able to see a bigger picture? Ask yourself questions like, will this matter in a month? In a year? What can I learn from this experience? What strength am I developing by facing this? These questions help widen the lens of your mind, shifting your focus from the narrow discomfort of the present to a broader, more resilient understanding of life. Perspective also means seeing your challenges within the context of the collective human experience. Hard as it may be to believe, you are not alone in your struggles. Every challenge you face, every setback you encounter, has been experienced in some form by countless others before you. When Marcus Aurelius penned his thoughts in Meditations, he wrote not to an audience but to himself. He acknowledged his own inner battles, the weariness of his duties, the weight of his responsibilities. He understood that no man was truly alone in his hardship, that as humans, we are all bound together by the threads of struggle and resilience. By remembering that others have walked and continue to walk a similar path, you cultivate a sense of shared humanity, a reminder that hardship is not your enemy but a common thread linking us all. Incorporating this habit into your daily life takes practice. Start with small steps. Each morning, remind yourself to broaden your perspective, to avoid fixating on the problems immediately before you. And when hard days come, see them not as insurmountable burdens, but as opportunities to practice resilience. Over time, this shift in perspective will become second nature, transforming the way you approach challenges and allowing you to face even the most difficult days with a sense of calm, strength, and resolve. Habit 2. Embracing the present moment with complete acceptance. To live fully in the present moment, to accept it without resistance, is a powerful practice, yet it's one of the most challenging habits to cultivate. When we're confronted by hardship, the temptation to escape the present becomes almost overwhelming. Our minds race to thoughts of a future free from pain, or we replay memories of a past unburdened by our current troubles. This mental avoidance, while understandable, creates a vicious cycle. By fleeing from the present, we intensify our discomfort, heightening our sense of powerlessness. The Stoics, however, saw the present moment as the only true reality. Epictetus taught that while we cannot control external events, we have full command over our response to them. This response begins with acceptance, a radical and profound embrace of the present moment, exactly as it is. Do not seek for things to happen the way you want them to, he advised, but rather wish for things to happen the way they do, and you will live a tranquil life. Acceptance is not about passivity or resignation. It's about recognizing reality without judgment. It's about saying to yourself, this is where I am right now, and that's okay. When we accept the present, we are not giving up, we are creating space to respond to it mindfully. We acknowledge the weight of the moment, yes, but we also find within that weight the opportunity to act with courage and purpose. Imagine standing in a storm. The instinctual response is to seek shelter to avoid the rain. But in life, not all storms can be escaped. Sometimes we must stand in the rain and let it wash over us. In these moments, our power lies not in resistance, but in acceptance. We cannot stop the storm, but we can choose how we face it. This practice doesn't remove the difficulty. It changes how we carry it. Acceptance is a muscle that must be exercised, especially in moments of hardship. On days when everything feels difficult, try to observe your own resistance. Notice how much energy is spent wishing things were different, longing for escape. Then, remind yourself, this present moment, however painful, is temporary. Nothing in life remains static, and every challenge, no matter how formidable, eventually passes. By accepting this truth, you allow yourself to engage with the present moment without the added weight of resistance. Seneca, the Roman Stoic and advisor to emperors, believed that much of human suffering is self-inflicted, born of our refusal to accept what life presents us. We suffer more in imagination than in reality, he wrote, recognizing that it is often our resistance to circumstances, not the circumstances themselves, that causes the most pain. When we learn to embrace the present moment without judgment or resistance, we unlock a powerful resilience, an ability to face hardship without being consumed by it. Practicing acceptance in daily life can be as simple as pausing when you feel overwhelmed. Take a few deep breaths, ground yourself in the present, and acknowledge what is happening around you. Observe your surroundings, your sensations, the thoughts that arise. Instead of reacting impulsively, respond with awareness. Tell yourself, this moment is here, and I accept it fully. Over time, this habit will develop into a natural response to stress, allowing you to navigate even the most challenging days with a sense of calm and clarity. Remember, acceptance does not mean you cannot strive for change or improvement. It simply means recognizing the current reality and responding to it without futile resistance. By embracing the present moment with complete acceptance, you find a strength that lies beyond the reach of external circumstances. You become anchored, unshakable, a quiet force amid the storm. Habit 3. Cultivating the power of inner dialogue. Inside each of us, there exists a voice that narrates our experiences, critiques our actions, and reflects our inner fears and hopes. This inner dialogue can be a guiding light or a relentless storm, depending on how well we harness its power. On difficult days, this inner dialogue often becomes our harshest critic, pointing out our shortcomings and magnifying our doubts. Yet, the Stoics understood that we could shape this inner voice into a source of resilience and wisdom, rather than self-judgment. Marcus Aurelius, perhaps one of history's most famous Stoics, spoke often of taming the mind. In meditations, he would write messages to himself, urging his mind toward calm, reminding himself of the impermanence of hardship, and consistently refocusing his thoughts on virtue and discipline. He knew that inner peace wasn't something granted by fortune or fate, but something cultivated through conscious, intentional dialogue with oneself. So what does it mean to cultivate an empowering inner dialogue? It begins by observing your thoughts without judgment. When faced with adversity, listen to how you speak to yourself. Do you encourage yourself or criticize yourself? Do you remind yourself of your strength, or do you dwell on your perceived weaknesses? Developing a supportive inner dialogue means creating a steady, guiding voice that can navigate you through even the darkest days. Epictetus, another great Stoic thinker, once said, "We are not disturbed by things, but by the views we take of them." He believed that our inner dialogue directly shapes our reality. When we train our minds to speak with kindness, perspective, and resilience, we transform our relationship with hardship. Instead of viewing challenges as threats, we can begin to see them as opportunities for growth, experiences that fortify our character and deepen our wisdom. Practically, building this habit of positive inner dialogue involves treating yourself as you would a close friend or loved one. Imagine a friend who comes to you feeling overwhelmed, defeated by life's pressures. How would you respond? Likely, you would listen patiently, offer understanding, and remind them of their strengths and achievements. Now, try to bring this same tone of voice to yourself. Instead of reprimanding yourself for struggling, remind yourself of the resilience you've shown in the past and your capacity to endure. Speak to yourself with the wisdom and compassion that you would extend to others. Creating an empowering inner dialogue also means challenging negative, distorted thoughts. In moments of hardship, it's easy to fall into all or nothing thinking, where every small setback feels like a monumental failure. But by catching these thoughts, we can redirect them. For instance, if you catch yourself thinking, "I'm never going to get through this," reframe it with, "This is hard, but I've faced difficulty before, and I can find a way through this too." With practice, these small shifts create a foundation of inner strength. The Stoics believed that the mind, like the body, requires training to grow strong. When we neglect our inner dialogue, we allow negative, self-defeating narratives to take control. But when we actively cultivate a voice of resilience and patience, we transform our inner world. This practice, though subtle, can become a wellspring of strength on difficult days, guiding us back to calm and clarity amid the storm. So, how can you start today? Each morning, set aside a few minutes to check in with your thoughts. Begin by writing down a few words of encouragement or wisdom to yourself, as Marcus Aurelius did in his journals. Remind yourself of your values, your strengths, and your purpose. During the day, whenever negative self-talk arises, take a moment to reframe it with a kinder, more empowering perspective. Over time, this habit will become a natural part of your daily experience, a voice of wisdom that grounds you and steadies you, no matter what life throws your way. Habit 4. Practicing voluntary discomfort. In a society where comfort and convenience are celebrated, the idea of choosing discomfort may seem counterintuitive. Yet, the Stoics held that deliberately engaging in uncomfortable experiences could strengthen our resilience and prepare us for life's inevitable hardships. They believed that by willingly exposing ourselves to discomfort, we could develop the fortitude to face challenges with calm and courage, rather than fear or avoidance. Seneca, a Roman philosopher and statesman, often practiced voluntary discomfort as a way of building his resilience. He would set aside days to live simply, eating only basic foods, wearing coarse clothing, and sleeping on the ground. During these times he would ask himself, "Is this what I feared?" Through this practice, he conditioned his mind to understand that true contentment doesn't come from luxury or ease, but from inner strength. By willingly embracing discomfort, he trained himself to face adversity with equanimity. But what does voluntary discomfort look like in today's world? It doesn't necessarily mean sleeping on the floor or forgoing meals, though these practices can be powerful. Instead, voluntary discomfort can be woven into daily life in subtle ways that build resilience. It can mean choosing to take the stairs instead of the elevator, facing a difficult conversation instead of avoiding it, or stepping out of your comfort zone to try something new and challenging. These small acts of discomfort allow you to practice endurance in a controlled environment so that when true hardship arises, you're better equipped to handle it. By facing discomfort voluntarily, we also learn to distinguish between genuine needs and superficial desires. In modern life, we are often surrounded by instant gratification, food at the push of a button, entertainment at the swipe of a finger. These conveniences, while pleasant, can weaken our ability to endure hardship. When we train ourselves to embrace discomfort, even in small ways, we regain control over our impulses. We begin to recognize that discomfort is not something to fear, but something to confront and transcend. This shift in mindset strengthens our ability to endure. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus believed that voluntary discomfort also cultivates humility. By stepping into situations that challenge our physical or mental limits, we remind ourselves that we are not invincible. This humility, born of experience, can be a grounding force in difficult times. Instead of assuming that life owes us ease or happiness, we learn to see hardship as a natural part of existence, something to be met with dignity rather than complaint. An essential part of this habit is mindfulness, learning to observe the discomfort without judgment or resistance. When you experience voluntary discomfort, whether it's physical exertion, a difficult conversation, or a challenging task, practice observing your reactions. Notice any urges to escape, any thoughts that arise, and the feelings of resistance that may surface. With time, this practice helps you to endure discomfort without being consumed by it. You learn that discomfort is temporary, and that by facing it head-on, you gain control over your response. Over time, voluntary discomfort becomes more than a test of endurance. It becomes a reminder of your inner strength. It reminds you that comfort and ease are fleeting states, while resilience and character are enduring qualities. Each time you face discomfort voluntarily, you build a reservoir of resilience that will support you during life's inevitable challenges. By choosing discomfort on your own terms, you prove to yourself that you are capable of enduring more than you may realize. Incorporating voluntary discomfort into your life doesn't require grand gestures or extreme challenges. Start small. Perhaps choose one day a week to engage in a simple act of discomfort, such as fasting, exercising in challenging conditions, or engaging in a difficult task without procrastination. These small acts may seem insignificant at first, but over time, they will build a powerful habit of resilience. This practice is not about seeking pain or deprivation, but about cultivating the ability to face hardship without fear. By building a strong, resilient mind, you prepare yourself to face whatever life may bring with courage and grace. Seneca summed up this practice with a powerful insight. Set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself all the while, "Is this the condition that I feared?" His question reminds us that discomfort is often less frightening than our minds make it out to be. By embracing voluntary discomfort, we strip away the illusions of fear and fortify our spirits against life's inevitable challenges. Habit 5. Practicing daily reflection. In the midst of our daily lives, filled with responsibilities, ambitions, and distractions, it's easy to lose sight of our progress and values. Difficult days only magnify this effect, often leaving us feeling lost or overwhelmed by emotions we don't fully understand. The Stoics, however, believed that self-reflection was one of the most powerful tools for personal growth and resilience. To them, each day was an opportunity to learn, recalibrate, and realign with their core values. Through daily reflection, we gain clarity, identify our missteps, and fortify our strengths, making us better equipped to handle the hardships that come our way. Marcus Aurelius would spend each evening examining his actions and thoughts. He recorded these reflections in a journal, later compiled into what we know today as meditations. This practice wasn't merely a way to catalog his day, but a way to cultivate his character, to hold himself accountable, and to continuously grow in wisdom and virtue. He asked himself questions like, what did I do well today? Where did I fall short of my principles? How can I improve tomorrow? This habit, practiced consistently, builds self-awareness and resilience. Self-reflection requires honesty, humility, and patience. It's about looking at both our successes and failures without judgment, recognizing that each experience has something to teach us. Often, we avoid self-reflection because we fear facing uncomfortable truths or confronting mistakes we'd rather ignore. But the Stoics understood that by shining a light on our own actions, we bring clarity to our inner world, gradually learning to shape our character with intention. Seneca advised, we should every night call ourselves to account. What infirmity have I mastered today? What passions opposed? What temptation resisted? What virtue acquired? In his view, these questions were essential not only for self-discipline, but for inner peace. So how can we incorporate this habit into our lives? Begin by setting aside a few quiet moments at the end of each day. This could be through journaling, as Marcus Aurelius did, or simply sitting in quiet contemplation. Reflect on the day's events, focusing especially on how you responded to challenges. Ask yourself, did I act in alignment with my values? Was I patient, kind, or disciplined? How could I have responded better? Don't dwell on regrets. Instead, view each insight as a guide for future growth. With time, this reflection will deepen your self-understanding and help you navigate difficult days with greater wisdom. Daily reflection also serves as a means to detach from the chaos of the world and reconnect with your purpose. When we rush through life without pausing to reflect, we lose sight of what truly matters. By consistently reflecting on our actions, we build a foundation of self-trust and inner strength that allows us to remain grounded, even in the face of hardship. We learn to see ourselves not as passive recipients of circumstance, but as active shapers of our own destiny. This habit also allows us to celebrate our small victories, which are often overlooked in the pursuit of larger goals. On tough days, it can be easy to focus on what went wrong or what we failed to achieve. But by setting aside time for reflection, we give ourselves permission to acknowledge progress, however small. Each day is an opportunity for growth, and daily reflection reminds us that our efforts, no matter how small, accumulate over time to create lasting change. By practicing daily reflection, we build resilience, deepen our understanding, and cultivate a mindset of continuous growth. This habit, though simple, can profoundly shift the way we experience life's challenges. Habit 6. Finding strength through purpose. In times of difficulty, purpose becomes our anchor. It gives us something to hold on to when everything else feels uncertain or overwhelming. The Stoics believed that living with purpose, aligning oneself with a greater mission, was the key to resilience. Purpose for them was not about grand gestures or lofty ambitions. It was about finding meaning in every action, no matter how small. Purpose fuels our resilience, providing a source of strength that transcends the temporary discomforts of life. Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist who survived the horrors of the Holocaust, later wrote about the power of purpose in his book, Man's Search for Meaning. Frankl observed that even in the direst conditions, those who had a sense of purpose, a reason to live, were far more resilient than those who had lost all hope. He wrote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." Although Frankl was not a Stoic, his philosophy echoes the Stoic understanding of purpose as a driving force, a source of inner strength that enables us to endure suffering with grace and dignity. Purpose is often misunderstood as something we must discover in a single, life-altering moment. But for the Stoics, purpose was more fluid, something that could be found in even the smallest actions. Marcus Aurelius believed that our purpose was tied to serving the common good, that each individual has a role to play in the world's larger tapestry. He urged himself daily, to rise and fulfill his duties, even on days when he felt tired or unmotivated. In Meditations he wrote, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work, as a human being. What do I have to complain of, if I'm going to do what I was born for, the things I was brought into the world to do?" For him, purpose was a duty, a commitment to his role in life, and a source of strength on days when he needed it most. To cultivate purpose in your life, start by identifying what truly matters to you. Purpose doesn't have to be a grand vision or a lifelong mission. It can be as simple as the commitment to become a better person, to help those around you, or to improve in a specific area of your life. Purpose is about aligning your actions with your values and principles. If kindness is a core value, let your purpose be to bring compassion to others. If discipline is important to you, let your purpose be to cultivate that discipline in your daily habits. The key is to find something meaningful that can guide you, especially on difficult days. Purpose also allows us to rise above temporary discomforts by focusing on a greater goal. When we live without purpose, every setback feels personal, every difficulty insurmountable. But when we are anchored in purpose, we see challenges as stepping stones towards something meaningful. Seneca advised, "No man can live happily or even reasonably unless he is with himself a good companion and an ally." To him, purpose was a form of companionship, a reminder that we are more than our circumstances, and that even in the midst of hardship, we can find strength by aligning with a greater mission. Finding purpose also means recognizing that our lives have significance beyond our individual experiences. The Stoics believed that we each have a role within the larger human community, and that by contributing to this collective purpose, we enhance our own resilience. Epictetus encouraged his students to see their lives as part of a greater whole, to view every action as an opportunity to serve humanity in some way. This doesn't mean we must all be leaders or visionaries. It means that by acting with integrity and intention, we create a ripple effect that extends beyond ourselves. A powerful way to tap into your purpose is by asking yourself, who do I want to be, especially in times of difficulty? When you wake up on a hard day, let this question guide you. Instead of asking, how can I get through this day? Ask, what kind of person do I want to be in response to this day's challenges? Purpose is not about external success or recognition. It's about living in alignment with your core values. By reminding yourself of this purpose, you transform your response to hardship, turning each struggle into a step toward a more meaningful life. This habit is not about finding purpose once and holding on to it forever. Purpose can shift and evolve over time, adapting to the seasons of our lives. The important thing is to continuously seek it, to allow it to grow with you, and to let it guide you on difficult days. With purpose, every experience becomes infused with meaning, and every hardship becomes a lesson, a stepping stone toward a life of deeper significance. When life feels challenging, return to your purpose. Let it ground you, inspire you, and remind you that you are part of something greater than yourself. Habit 7. Embracing the power of patience. In our fast-paced world, patience often feels like a lost virtue, an outdated quality that doesn't quite fit in with the culture of instant gratification. But the Stoics saw patience as an essential element of resilience, a powerful tool that allows us to endure hardship without being consumed by frustration, impatience, or despair. Patience, for them, was not simply about waiting. It was about learning to stay calm, focused, and steady in the face of adversity. Epictetus taught that patience involves enduring difficult circumstances with a composed mind. He observed that we cannot control most of what happens around us, but we can control how we respond. By cultivating patience, we become less reactive and more intentional, less affected by external pressures, and more attuned to our inner calm. The Stoic approach to patience is not passive. It is active endurance, a choice to stay centered amid the storms of life. When life seems to be moving too slowly, or when our goals seem distant, patience becomes a quiet form of strength that helps us keep moving forward, one step at a time. The Stoics often used metaphors to convey the importance of patience. Life, they said, is like tending to a garden. You plant seeds and water them, but you cannot force them to grow any faster than nature allows. Patience teaches us to nurture our goals, our relationships, and even ourselves without rushing the process. It reminds us that growth, whether personal or external, takes time, and that true transformation cannot be forced. In Meditations, Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Take full account of the misfortune that has happened and try to learn from it. But remember that patience and time accomplish more than anger and haste." In other words, by allowing life to unfold at its natural pace, we align ourselves with the flow of time rather than resisting it. But how do we practice patience in our daily lives, especially when we're feeling overwhelmed or frustrated? Begin by reframing the concept of waiting. Instead of viewing waiting as wasted time, see it as an opportunity to practice calm and mindfulness. Waiting doesn't have to mean inaction. It can be a time for reflection, for quiet self-assessment, or simply for noticing the present moment. Patience also means accepting that certain things are outside of our control, and that resisting this fact only creates inner turmoil. When we embrace patience, we are, in essence, accepting the rhythm of life without trying to speed it up or slow it down. Patience can be especially powerful on hard days when our minds are clouded by frustration, impatience, or disappointment. In such moments, remind yourself that patience is not weakness. It is strength. It is the ability to endure without breaking, to trust in the process even when the outcome is uncertain. Patience is a kind of faith in yourself and in the journey, a belief that by taking one small step at a time, you will eventually reach your destination. Seneca emphasized that patience also teaches us to manage our expectations, helping us to let go of unrealistic demands we may place on ourselves or others. Often we suffer not because of what is happening, but because of our desire for things to be different from what they are. By accepting things as they are and exercising patience, we learn to face reality without resentment or bitterness. This doesn't mean we should accept injustice or give up on our goals. Rather, it means acknowledging that some things cannot be rushed or controlled, and that enduring them with grace is a testament to our strength. To cultivate patience, try setting aside a few minutes each day to practice stillness. Sit quietly, observing your thoughts without judgment. Notice any feelings of impatience that arise, and gently remind yourself that these feelings are temporary. The more you practice this, the more naturally patience will come to you in moments of stress or frustration. Over time, you'll find that patience becomes an inner resource, a wellspring of calm that you can draw upon whenever life becomes challenging. Patience, as a habit, transforms our relationship with time and with ourselves. It teaches us that there is no need to rush, no need to force outcomes, and no need to resist the natural flow of life. With patience, we find peace in the present, strength in endurance, and trust in the journey itself. And in doing so, we discover that patience is not just a virtue, it is a path to resilience, a way to face hardship with a calm and steady mind. Habit 8. Practicing mindfulness in adversity. In the face of hardship, our minds often wander toward regret, worry, or fear. We dwell on what went wrong, fret over what lies ahead, or wish for an escape from the present moment. But the Stoics understood that true resilience requires presence, that the ability to be fully here, in this moment, allows us to face challenges with greater clarity, composure, and courage. This is the essence of mindfulness, a practice that grounds us in the now, freeing us from the mental turmoil that comes from dwelling on the past or fearing the future. Epictetus reminded his students that while we cannot control external events, we can control our perceptions and our responses. This insight forms the foundation of mindfulness, an awareness of our thoughts, emotions, and surroundings without judgment. By cultivating this awareness, we begin to see our thoughts for what they are: temporary, often exaggerated responses to external events, rather than absolute truths. Mindfulness trains us to observe rather than react, to remain calm and centered even in the midst of chaos. Mindfulness, for the Stoics, was not just a practice, it was a way of life, a means of reclaiming control over their minds. They believed that by cultivating awareness, they could live in harmony with reality, rather than resisting it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." By grounding themselves in the present moment, the Stoics could face adversity without being overwhelmed by fear or anxiety. They understood that while suffering often exists in the mind, mindfulness brings us back to the present, reminding us that we are strong enough to endure whatever the moment brings. Practicing mindfulness during hard times begins with observing your breath. When anxiety or stress arises, take a few slow, deep breaths, focusing on each inhale and exhale. This simple act anchors you in the present, quieting the mind's tendency to spiral into worry or regret. Mindfulness doesn't mean ignoring your feelings or pretending that everything is fine. Rather, it involves accepting your emotions without letting them control you. When a challenging emotion arises, acknowledge it, breathe through it, and remind yourself that it is temporary. Another key aspect of mindfulness is accepting reality as it is, without judgment. Often, we resist difficult situations, wishing things were different or blaming ourselves or others. This resistance only adds to our suffering. Mindfulness teaches us to let go of this resistance and approach each experience with openness. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" try asking, "What can I learn from this experience?" This shift in perspective allows you to face hardship with a sense of curiosity and strength rather than defeat. Mindfulness also encourages us to pay attention to the small details of our day, to find beauty in the mundane, even on difficult days. When we are fully present, we begin to notice things we might otherwise overlook: the warmth of sunlight, the taste of a meal, the sound of birds outside. These small moments of presence provide a counterbalance to stress, reminding us that life is filled with simple pleasures, even amid adversity. Stoic mindfulness is about finding strength in simplicity. It teaches us to strip away the noise of the mind and connect with the essence of our experience. On difficult days, mindfulness can act as an anchor, helping us remain steady in the face of uncertainty. By practicing mindfulness regularly, we train our minds to be resilient, to face hardship with composure, and to embrace each moment as it comes. To make mindfulness a habit, try setting aside a few minutes each day to sit quietly, observing your breath and your thoughts. As you go about your day, practice being fully present in small tasks such as eating, walking, or listening. Over time, this practice will help you develop a steady, grounded awareness that you can carry into moments of difficulty. When life becomes overwhelming, mindfulness becomes a refuge, a place of calm where you can find clarity, strength, and peace. Mindfulness, as the Stoics understood it, is not about escaping the present, but embracing it fully. It is the practice of returning to yourself, of finding peace in the midst of struggle, and of trusting that whatever the moment holds, you are strong enough to face it. In embracing mindfulness, you cultivate a powerful resilience, a quiet strength that allows you to navigate hardship with grace and courage. Habit 9. Fostering resilient relationships. Even the Stoics, known for their self-sufficiency, believed in the importance of meaningful relationships as a source of strength and resilience. They recognized that while we may endure hardship alone, we are not meant to navigate life's journey in complete isolation. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "We were born to work together, like feet, hands, and eyes, like the two rows of teeth, upper and lower. To obstruct each other is unnatural. To feel anger at someone, to turn your back on them. These are obstructions." In these words, he reminds us that humans are intrinsically social beings, designed to support one another in times of need. Stoicism teaches us to cultivate relationships that are mutually supportive and founded on virtue. For the Stoics, friendship was not merely about convenience or shared interests, but about mutual growth and encouragement. They believed that true friends challenge one another to live virtuously and provide strength when life's storms feel overwhelming. Seneca once remarked, "One of the most beautiful qualities of true friendship is to understand and to be understood." When we find friends who truly understand us, we create a support network that helps us face even the most difficult days with courage and solidarity. Fostering resilient relationships begins with intentionality. We often surround ourselves with people out of habit or familiarity. But the Stoics would urge us to be more deliberate in choosing those we invest time and energy into. Seek relationships that nourish you emotionally and intellectually, connections that encourage your growth rather than distract from it. If a relationship does not align with your values or actively hinders your growth, it may be worth reconsidering its place in your life. This doesn't mean cutting off every casual acquaintance, but rather prioritizing those relationships that contribute positively to your journey. The Stoics believe that relationships built on honesty and mutual respect are the foundation of a resilient community. In difficult times, people often feel reluctant to share their struggles, fearing judgment or misunderstanding. But having even one person with whom you can share openly, someone who listens without judgment and provides comfort without enabling negativity, can be a transformative source of strength. Epictetus advised, "Seek not the good in external things, seek it in yourselves and in others." He understood that while external achievements and possessions may fade, the support of a good friend endures, offering resilience when material things fall short. Building resilient relationships also involves reciprocation. To cultivate strong connections, we must also be willing to support others when they need us, to lend a listening ear, or offer a kind word. Friendship is not a one-sided endeavor. It is a mutual commitment. When you help others through their struggles, you not only strengthen your bond with them, but you also deepen your own sense of purpose. Helping someone else can lift your spirits, giving you a renewed sense of resilience and reinforcing the interconnectedness that sustains us all. One way to nurture resilient relationships is through regular check-ins, both in good times and bad. Often people reach out to others only during crises, but the Stoics encouraged consistent, intentional engagement. By regularly connecting with loved ones, you build a foundation of trust that becomes invaluable during hard times. Whether through a quick message, a thoughtful letter, or an afternoon spent together, small acts of connection add up to create a resilient bond that can withstand the pressures of life. In difficult moments, resilient relationships remind us that we are not alone. They provide encouragement, perspective, and sometimes the clarity needed to see our way through. By nurturing these bonds, we create a support network that not only enhances our resilience, but also makes our journey richer and more meaningful. The Stoics understood that life is too challenging to be faced alone, and that resilient relationships are one of life's greatest sources of strength and solace. Habit 10. Cultivating gratitude for the present moment. Gratitude for the Stoics was not a fleeting feeling of thankfulness, but a deliberate practice, a mindset that allowed them to see beauty and meaning even in hardship. This habit is about finding contentment in the present moment, appreciating what we have, and understanding that every experience, even painful ones, contributes to our growth. In Meditations, Marcus Aurelius writes, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love." For him, gratitude was a conscious practice, a reminder that life itself, in all its complexity, is a gift. Gratitude helps us to reframe our perspective, especially on difficult days. It is easy to focus on what's missing, on what's going wrong, or on the things we wish were different. But gratitude shifts our attention to what we do have, to the aspects of life that bring joy, connection, or learning. This shift in focus can transform how we perceive hardship, reminding us that every struggle also brings lessons and opportunities. Seneca urged his students to recognize the gifts of fortune, not just material wealth, but the people, moments, and experiences that shape our lives. When we approach life with gratitude, we begin to see that even our challenges have value. Practicing gratitude doesn't mean ignoring pain or pretending that everything is fine. It means recognizing that hardship and joy can coexist, that even in dark times there are still aspects of life worth appreciating. The Stoics were not strangers to suffering, yet they found solace in small moments of joy or connection. For example, on days when you feel overwhelmed or disheartened, pause to acknowledge one thing you are grateful for: a supportive friend, a comforting meal, or even the resilience within yourself to face the day. This simple act of recognition can create a powerful shift in your mindset. One of the most profound aspects of gratitude is that it roots us in the present moment. When we are grateful, we are fully here, experiencing life as it is, rather than getting lost in regrets about the past or worries about the future. Epictetus advised his students to remain content with the things that are, teaching them to find peace in the present rather than yearning for what might be. By focusing on the now, we free ourselves from the cycle of wanting and dissatisfaction, creating a sense of peace and completeness that strengthens our resilience. To cultivate gratitude as a habit, consider starting a daily gratitude practice. Each evening, reflect on 3 things you are grateful for, no matter how small. Over time, this practice will train your mind to notice and appreciate positive moments more easily, even on challenging days. Some people find it helpful to keep a gratitude journal, writing down their reflections as a reminder of life's blessings. This habit, while simple, can profoundly shift your outlook, helping you see that there is always something to be grateful for, no matter the circumstances. Gratitude also reinforces our connection to others. When we acknowledge the contributions, kindness, or support we receive from others, we strengthen those bonds and reinforce our sense of belonging. Expressing gratitude to those around us, even for small gestures, fosters a culture of appreciation, reminding us that life is filled with moments of shared warmth and compassion. On the hardest days, gratitude can be a light in the darkness. It reminds us that life's challenges are not the whole story, that there is still beauty, love, and meaning to be found. By cultivating gratitude, we cultivate resilience, learning to face each moment with an open heart and a spirit of appreciation. In this way, gratitude is not just a habit, it's a way of life, a practice that fills our lives with purpose and peace, even in the midst of adversity. Final thoughts: the path to resilience and strength. So, wisdom seekers, we've explored 10 habits rooted in Stoic philosophy, each offering a unique pathway to resilience, strength, and wisdom. These are not quick fixes or superficial solutions. They are lifelong practices, disciplines that shape our character and deepen our understanding of ourselves and the world. By integrating these habits, we become people who can endure hardship, remain steady in the face of adversity, and find peace and meaning, even when life is challenging. The Stoics knew that life would not be easy. They understood that suffering, loss, and struggle are as much a part of life as joy, love, and success. But they believed that within each of us lies a profound capacity for resilience, a quiet, steady strength that doesn't rely on outside circumstances. The Stoics called this inner strength virtue, and they believed it to be the highest good, the core of a meaningful life. It is this inner strength that we cultivate when we practice patience, mindfulness, gratitude, discipline, and self-reflection. Through these habits, we learn to navigate life's ups and downs with grace and purpose. Think back on each habit we've explored: accepting discomfort, practicing self-reflection, cultivating discipline, embracing patience, building resilience through physical and mental strength, fostering meaningful relationships, and finding gratitude in each moment. These are not just practices, but powerful ways of living. They are tools that enable us to weather the storms of life, to keep going when things seem impossible, and to find light even in darkness. Remember, resilience is not about avoiding hardship or pretending that pain doesn't exist. It's about facing it head-on with a calm and steady mind. As Marcus Aurelius put it, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. The obstacles we encounter are not there to defeat us, but to shape us, to help us grow stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. The Stoics remind us that every challenge is an opportunity to strengthen our character, to become better, not bitter. As you continue on your journey, take these Stoic principles to heart. Let them become a part of who you are. Don't just practice them when life is hard. Make them a part of your daily life, your way of seeing the world. In doing so, you'll find that even the most difficult days become manageable, filled with meaning, purpose, and ultimately peace. And finally, know that you're not alone on this journey. As you cultivate these habits, you join a long line of wisdom seekers, philosophers, poets, warriors, and thinkers who have walked this path before you, who have faced hardship, and come through with a stronger, wiser heart. These habits are more than tools. They are a legacy, passed down through centuries, a reminder that no matter how difficult life becomes, we have the strength within us to endure. Thank you for being here, for seeking wisdom and strength. Let's continue on this path together, building lives of meaning, resilience, and purpose. Remember, every step, no matter how small, is a victory on this journey. Keep going, wisdom seekers.